Hello everyone, Hawky here, back with another Sword of Convallaria video. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Sword of Convallaria revenue recently, and it's been dropping quite a lot. And like the main drops that we can see is mainly here from the CN version. I mean, there was some drops in the JP version, but that should pick up with the collab coming around the corner. And I've been compiling the sort of CN revenue here from the site, and basically it's going off like sensor tower data, and they're saying, the Android revenue is 1.75% of Apple. So we can see like, what's that, 550K, 550, 825, 825, 825, 550, and it just looks like the values are just just blocks of values for the CN, 225, and then very recently 220K, right? And honestly, like these numbers look kind of off, and I wanted to see it from a CN point of view. So the CN version officially released on the 23rd of November 2023. I wasn't able to get like the data for these early months, like Ida, Momo, Alexi, Simona, and I did find some data starting from February, so 2024. So we'll go down the list on the CN version and see how their revenue tracked. So I compiled all the data from this guy, Greenspace, on Bilibili. A big shout out to him. And so the rankings based on revenue of various mobile games on mobile devices are all domestic revenue from the CN version, so everything in China. The Android coefficient is dynamically adjusted based on financial reports, official information, etc. So this is iOS plus Android, but then the Android is also a multiplier. Does not include PC, console, or overseas revenue, and they use renminbi, which is the Chinese currency, sensor tower, DNDN data, QMI, etc. So we do have a bit of consistency, and what they go through is basically every month he updates what the revenue is for each of the games. So we'll just focus on how it went for Sword of Convallaria. Like, keep in mind, in the CN version, they also have an online shop. So just like us, online shop, thanks to Super Oliver for showing me this image, 5% off. So same as our global version, we do have an online shop for 5% off as well. Most people probably buy through this instead of through the game, like iOS and everything. So starting off February. The February 2,991, which is a 10,000 equivalent. So translate to USD, 4.1 mil. So really, really good, especially at the start of the game. This was when the Sophia and August banner were active. So at the start, the Spiral of Destinies and seeing, the final boss, August, Sophia, and like, it was an amazing time, right? Pretty much near the launch, and everything was doing great. And then comes March, right? The March, they had Coco, Akambe, and Hasna banner. So 2,183 won. And then the green here is like, it's down 27%. So it drops down to 3 mil essentially. And then we look up at February. Sorry, April here. April, that's when Homer and Karis banner came in. It's dropped down to 1,472 W. And yeah, down to equivalent of 2 mil USD. I think, Karis, Homer, not really that popular. And yeah, it slowly drops down. And you can imagine for these mobile gacha games, it is, at the start, the first few months, it is the honeymoon period, and then it just sort of sharply drops and then sort of stabilizes. So in May, they had Shaq, Lulu, and Agatha, 1,263 W, down 14%, down to 1.7 mil. And what we have is in June, this is when Night Crimson really started there for them. They were Tyre and SP Rawia, 1,146 W. Also, the introduction of Astral Imprint. So, remember, we got the SP Rawia Gale Sword for free. and CN, they weren't too happy about Astral Imprint. So did drop slightly, 1.6 million, but we'll probably see the effects of Astral Imprint next month. So here in July, Hermina and Tristan, 1011W down 12%. Hermina's Astral Imprint was a big one. Like, you literally needed her spear to play the character, so that it wasn't too good. And CN were very, very unhappy during this July period. They're still dropping during the Crimson Knight period. And then we have August 2024, 873W down 14%. So that's Layla and SP Sophia, 1.2 million USD there. And then we have September with Kia and Convallaria down 25%, 654W, like under 1 mil, 914,000. Like, Crimson Knight just really, really decreased the revenue for Sword of Convallaria. It was just in a free fall. Like, it just all goes down, right? Doesn't stabilize. Like, it was down, what, 40% at the start, 27, 33, 15, slowly trying to drop, but like it increased even more, 12%, 14%, 25%. And now in October, this is where the Witches patch came in. And yeah, 355W, down 45%. This was even worse. They had Luvata. They didn't give Luvata's Astral Imprint at that time. I feel like they're like, stop. We should stop with Astral Imprints. We need to do something about them. And then they also had Estra as well. But yeah, look at that huge drop. Down 50% essentially. Under 500k USD. And then coming November 2024, the second half of Witches, Favia, Team Meteor, like, it didn't really make that much of a difference. The drop sort of slowed down, but these were, you know, not really that favorable banners as well. 324W, which is 453k. This is when I started recording the data from Sensor Tower for the CN version. So 550k, like, you know, fairly similar if we're comparing the Sensor Tower and what the CN were recording in November. And now in December. So December, it actually went up 580W and it's up 79%. Like, it's not that much of a difference because it was like huge drop before from like Cavare stage, but it looks like things were picking up. And especially this was the anniversary period for CN. Like, it came out in November, December in 2023. So this was their big anniversary with Luffy, Aisha, and 811 K USD. Sensor Tower data didn't actually change. So yeah, it was just like, you know, Sensor Tower isn't matching up. And then they did a bit of an overview on the whole year of sort of Convallaria. You can see here January, February, and we see this like sort of free fall of revenue for sort of Convallaria, and then tries to stabilize here in the April, June, and then slowly falls down in October. That was like the lowest point, and things started to pick up, right? And you know, this is anniversary. You'll think anniversary actually should be bigger, but at least things were looking well, right? Things were stabilizing finally. And then we had January with Afra and SP Nana, you know, another big strong unit. And with SP Nana came the Spiral Destinies for SP Nana, right? Wake Up Inanna, the 624W up 8%. And yeah, USD 872k, sort of matched Sensor Tower, 825k, like still matches a bit. And then in February came the collab, Delicious in Dungeon for the CN version. So this is when they had Nydia and Marcel, 545W, which is 672k USD. Sensor Tower still remaining the same there. But it was a bit of a drop from SP Nana, but yeah, collab, not many people really liked it. It wasn't that hyped for them. And then March. So in March, they had Farlin and Rico, like 530W. Maybe Rico, they like their lollies, right? Look at all these other lollies there. 530W, down 3%. 741k. Sensor tower still remaining the same there. Yes, 3% difference didn't really show up on their records there. And in April, so April was the new Spiral Destinies, the true ending of Iria. So this is when, all the new Union units came through. We had Parzival, he's an edgy dude and just felt a bit out of place. There was Credenza, which a lot of CM players sort of didn't like Credenza, and one of the big content creators in the CN version, White Bear, was like telling everyone not to get Credenza. So a lot of people didn't get Credenza, and Parzival was a bit of a flop for them. So 398 W, down 25%. So that's 556k USD. And Sensor Tower, was pretty close to match that. So Sensor Tower data, fairly accurate there. And then in May it came with SP Samantha, was pretty big, and Eucerin and SP Mytha. So 552W, up 39%. I feel like the increase might have been more from SP Samantha than SP Mytha, but we can't really tell the difference because it's all in the month of May. So that puts them up to 771k USD. And Sensor Tower, 550k. I feel like that is, a bit inaccurate. They haven't been really catching up with the data there. It is what it is. And then in June came Camelot. 662W, up 20%. Camelot is like really big, big boss, male character, end of the game, end boss. So pretty amazing. Like, I think they had to delay Camelot. So we'll probably have Camelot before SP Mytha. And yeah, like, what is this Sensor Tower? 270k, 5k, and the CN had 925k USD. This is a huge difference. Like, how did they get this so wrong? Like, Camelot, I'm trusting this guy's numbers over Sensor Tower because, he's been consistent with all of this. I feel like he didn't really go wrong for all these numbers. And then in July, the very latest July, with the new Sand and Wind Element chapter, 440W, down 34% with SP Nungal and Lucama. So 615k USD, and Sensor Tower still sitting at 220k. But also tableized it here, so we can see the sort of drop, right? February, March, April, just on freefall. May, June, July, August, September, October, huge drops. And, if we look at this, so Pamina, SP Reward, this is when the Astral Imprints came in with Night Crimson. So Night Crimson and Astral Imprints just didn't really do that well for them. Like, but they were on freefall since the start, right? It didn't stabilize their revenue, and the Witches made it worse. The Witches made it worse. It went from 914 all the way down to like half. And then eventually they did pick up the slack on Anniversary, right? The Anniversary picked up the slack from the Witches, went up to the revenue for Night Crimson, and then sort of stabilized from there. Like, the collab was nice, and then the Union units just dropped everything. SP Samantha picked it up, Camelot, and I feel like we're in a sort of stable position. Like, it's a bit of a drop, but 615, it's pretty good, right? So I did like sort of make a table with the sort of drops here. Like, this is like how much revenue they had, and yeah, just huge drop, and then sort of goes up, goes down a bit, and I feel like this is sort of stable. Like, we'll be between, like, what is this, like 500, 600k to like 1 mil. So it will just float at this stage for the CN version, which I feel is, that's probably where that's not too bad, right? Just redid the graph slightly because I felt like some of the numbers didn't really show that much of a difference. But yeah, I just feel like either Sensor Tower data is wrong for the CN version. Like, I don't know what data they're using for the CN version. Like, but yeah, it just does feel like Yeah, if we're using this CN Guy's data, the revenue does feel like it's sort of stabilizing for them. So like, we don't really have to worry about CN going like end of service or anything, like the element route and everything. You know, sure there was some sort of drop, but the drop is still better than the worst points, right? 615k was better than when we had the witches and when we had credenza and Parzival. So I feel like we'll just stabilize between these two numbers there. Like, what do you guys think? Like, sure, this does include, you know, the global stuff. It shows the trends going down, but yeah, it's just the CN data just doesn't seem too accurate. 220k based on these estimates, and it's a big difference with like 615k. Anyway, hopefully that reassures you guys that, you know, CN isn't dying, right? They're not going end of service anytime soon. The numbers are still fairly stable, and yeah, we'll see how things go. Um, they don't have August data out yet, so I'll need to wait for that. Anyway, thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.